Hey guys, welcome to another Train Sim Classic video. So we are now in the proverbial heart of the Midwest, Illinois, the land of Lincoln. This line sits about 60 scant miles south of Chicago. So the way we're facing right now goes right up to Chicago in the north. Now this route map sits in the county of Iroquois, which is a Native American name and First Nations people name, which it is based upon, on one of the busiest stretches of Illinois Central Main Line, seeing over 100 passenger and freight trains combined per day, back during its heyday, of course, which would be like the late 40s. Now, this is part of IC's Chicago subdivision, also immediately connecting to the Bloomington sub at Otto, which is to the north, and the Gilman line to St. Louis, Missouri, which is down at Gilman behind us. All now under control, of course, of the Canadian National in the current modern age. So this would have been the train that we just witnessed heading north to Chicago for the Illinois Central, which did receive a lot of coal, this being a coal train, of course. Now, the Illinois Central Railroad operated from 1851 to 1999, one of America's oldest Class 1s, what would be considered today, or main lines, until its absorption, of course, into the Canadian National, which still runs this line to this very day, with quite a few things still being here, dating back to the 40s and 50s. Now, a line, that no other line basically accomplished is this line connecting Chicago in the Midwest to the Gulf of Mexico at New Orleans. So all kinds of things could be shipped. Traditionally, a lot of railroads back in the day were east-west. They kind of paved the way going down from the Midwest to the Gulf of Mexico, going a totally different direction. Now, they retired their last steam locomotive, which is this thing we've got sitting right up here, the 282 Mikado, number 1518, which was built in Paducah, Kentucky for the Illinois Central. And they had quite a bit of these. Now, Machine Rail, another train sim developer, made this locomotive that we're staring at here, kind of creeping up on at the moment. And it was made for the community member, modder, or developer known as Drangus, who had this locomotive commissioned for this very line. So the locomotive and the rolling stock pack, both of which are very, very nice and obviously worth every bit of coin that Machine Rail asked for this thing, he commissioned this thing, and he wanted it built for this line, which he has been building since, I believe, about the early part of 2023, now being, of course, the early part of 2024. Now, this is called the Iroquois Prairielands, which is, kind of just south of Chicago, as I noted earlier, down to a fairly large interchange. And while it's it's roughly about a 25-30 mile line that's built, only about, I want to say half, well, more than half, probably like 65, 70, theoretically, is finished. So this is still very much in a beta state. This is not complete. So we'll go ahead and pop the map open here and take a look. This is currently where we're at. There's several towns along the way. And yeah, it's a straight shot, boy. I mean, it's the Midwest. It's, there's not much for these railroads that they had to build around or through or anything like that. It was just flat, wide open farmland. So that means high speed, which ain't a bad thing. So that's what you got here. You do have the curve down at the south with the very large interchange. But currently scenery is still being built. So I'd say the top half of the line to where our train is here currently is completely finished. Very thorough and detailed scenery. And then you get down and the kind of the farmland and whatnot is still being built as we speak. by Drangus, the developer for this. And, you know, he's got a couple of towns built down through here, but I've been closely watching this thing since its inception in his Facebook group, where he's been sharing progress of this. And it's like nothing else. It's one of those, you know, it's one of those maps where, you know, a lot of us know and have seen over the years where it's like a passion project. This is not for profit, obviously. This isn't being sold. This is free. Now, of course, you need the requirements, and I will link down below as usual where you can go and find this route and download it and play it for yourself. But passion, a lot of history and passion went into this, as you know, as do a lot of other really damn nice freeware routes for North American train sim. This is very spicy. So the line kind of carried a bit of everything. I would say predominantly coal, machine parts, fast freight, lots of passenger trains. This was the main line for the Illinois Central, so to speak, that went all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana. So this was it. Everything went through this line, especially during the late war period, World War II, of course. A lot of manufacturing was going on. So a lot of coal would be sent up to the north, firing, you know, power plants and machine factories, building things that, you know, still ran on coal, obviously. So a lot of coal was absorbed. A lot of passenger trains going to or fro. I want to say about 20 per day in its heyday, so 10 each direction. We got some long distance, you know, high speed, some regionals and things like that. And then you had a lot of livestock, naturally, which we can see in this field on the left here. And then, of course, grain. So a lot of grain. There's several grain silos up and down this line, which still exist to this very day, which were nicely, you know, placed all along this line. So he did a lot of historical aspects, obviously doing a lot of investigation into how things looked, you know, being in the, let's say, late 40s, early 50s, I think he's shooting for, and it very much looks like it. So the other very neat piece of railroading history, and the reason why I think he chose this line, is because of its centralized traffic control. So it was a double-track main line, pretty much up and down, which could be bi-directional. So your average freight trains back in the day were slow. We're talking like 20, 25, 30 max. Your passenger trains would do about 60 on average in this region anyway. And so, you know, this line was extremely busy. So in this dedicated 20-mile stretch of line, they had centralized traffic control installed. So it had various types of signals. I think it had a couple of semaphores, had the overhead gantries, you know, triple lights, bi-directional, and that's kind of what's going on here. So you see these pipes, or the conduit in the ground. This goes between all of the signals in the area, and this was friggin' high tech back in the day. So I think it started in, gosh, when did they put this down? It was in the late 20s, maybe. You know, but it was very high tech, and it was very warranted for the Illinois Central. It was kind of their teething for doing this kind of thing on one of their main lines. And this is where it all began, right here. But it handled many trains, of course, from Chicago to New Orleans. And there were also trains that went from Chicago to St. Louis. So it would get very busy. Plus, you got the, you know, almost 100 trains per day. All right, so we all get our bearings. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the map once again. So this very northern part is gonna be the Auto area. I think it's called Auto Township, OTTO. I know it probably sounds like I'm saying auto, like automatic transit mission, but it's Auto, OTTO. Yes, sounds like auto. I know. Going north continues on to Chicago, as you can see there with the portals, and then this is a Y, which connected over to Bloomington. So this is the Bloomington line and the portal to Bloomington. Let's see, and we do have an interlocking tower here as well, there being a Y. A little bit further south, we've got, let's find it, Chebanse. Now, I'm not sure how the hell you say this. It's based on another Native American word, I believe. Chebanse. We'll say Chebanse. So that's Chebanse there. Another little kind of good-sized town. You got quite a bit you can do there. We'll go a little bit further south. The next town should be Clifton, which is goes right there. So we got Clifton sitting there, and then about 3/4 of the way down is, I don't know if I've got anything sitting down there. Yeah, so this is Ashkum. So he's pretty much got Ashkum fleshed out city-wise and town-wise, just the kind of rural scenery on both sides, your farmland and hedgerows and things like that are missing. And then you go down to the bottom, and this is where all the crazy stuff happens. So I'm pretty kind of interested to see what's going to go on down here. Pretty good sized yard, Colin Tower, watering station, and then you've got this pretty massive interchange. So this line that runs east and west here is the TP&W, which would have been Toledo, Peoria, and Western. And then if you would have taken this line down this way, this would have gone to Springfield and St. Louis. So this was all, I mean, and these were big train routes. These were, these are big population centers. So there would have been a lot of trains being handled through here, still are pretty much to this day. And then straight on down, obviously, is going to go to Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana. All right, so let us start looking around this glorious place. So we are at the tippity top of the main line. We are now facing south, so behind us would be Chicago, Illinois, of course. And this is the main line. Now, this line on the right kind of, actually, I think the one on the left is a passing track. So these two lines here are the main. And one of the things you'll note, which I certainly did right off the bat with this route, when it was started, to be built, is the vegetation. It looks, like it's in full summer, gotten a decent amount of rain. You've got a lot of weeds and grasses and all kinds of stuff just growing all over the tracks. There's actual weeds in between the main line itself. Now, of course, nowadays they try to keep this stuff as clean as possible, but even in, some short lines in more rural areas, it looks like this. You're going to have, it's not going to be clean right away on the tracks. And this kind of fits that perfectly. So, of course, he went with a very nice, sweet vegetation and trees as well. I still see a few of these kind of funky looking trees that I'm not the biggest fan of, but they were just part of, some of the assets that were used. But they don't look that bad because there's not too many of them. But some of these other trees do look very nice as well. And then on your immediate left and right sides are just massive fields of grain. Now, I have no clue what they would have been growing back in here, but it's a lot. And the grass that's used is just super thick. I mean, you get down in here next to the ground, you can't see squat. So what would this have been? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe corn or just some kind of weed or something like that. Maybe a barley or something. But as far as you can see, it is heavily detailed, and it looks incredible as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you've got your telegraph poles pretty much lining the entire track still. And then over here, this highway, which I don't think it would have been yet, but this is Interstate 57, which is a pretty, here in the States, for those who may not be aware, the interstate is just like a very large highway, for our road system. And so this would have been a fairly large road even back in the day. but it is now Interstate 57, and it pretty much runs the length of this line entirely. And we're kind of in the northeastern corner of the state of Illinois as well right now. So, hell, I'd say if you look that way east, probably beyond, just beyond that last tree in the middle there, that's probably the state of Indiana. So, when I'm in this map, I get that like John Dillinger vibe, you know, him and his buddies hauling ass, getting chased from the cops after robbing a bank or something like that, because this was their stomping grounds. You know, what did they deem him? The FBI when they started chasing him. Geez, I can't remember. They gave him like a big name that was, you know, known even to this day. But that's what I imagine out here. I get those vibes, and it kind of fits. It's the late 40s. Even though that would have been more in the 30s, but it still kind of looks the same, and it's just very, very nice looking. You've got livestock everywhere. There's sheep over there. There's cows over there. We'll try and speed this up a bit. Point I'm trying to get across is this is how you do vegetation right here. I feel like vegetation is left by the wayside, no pun intended, a lot of times, and it's a bit sad. I know a lot of people argue, well, it eats frames and blah, 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 you know. Sure. Within reason. So a lot of these trackside trees and vegetation are 3D, three-dimensional, obviously. Those are going to take a bit more power to render. The trees you see in the distance are 2D, and I am 1000% totally cool with that because they take almost nothing to render, even with millions and millions of them. But you can't tell. They look totally fine out there. So this route can kind of get away with a lot of vegetation because it's very open and not super dense. It is very wide, so it's got a lot to render, whereas, you know, like a mountain pass, all you'd see is the immediate, you know, valley or whatnot inside of the mountain pass. But this is nice, you know, talking about mountain passes, not having another friggin' mountain pass. It's the Midwest. It's a new area. It's something different. We got something to run this Illinois Central Mikado and this very lovely rolling stock that the guy commissioned that built this route. So, you know, it's perfect. Chef's kiss, essentially. You've got a lot of old farms all up and down, just placed very, very neatly and nicely. Hell, even the fencing, like it's kind of hard to find anything out of place on this route. It just looks so incredibly manicured, and there's not just one type of grass. There's all kinds of different grasses in there. You've got the old kind of worn barns and silos and whatnot. Got the little house right by the road here. We'll get back over here by the train. So it looks very cozy. This has just got an incredible look to it. It feels like the Midwest. I've never been, but stuff I've seen, you know, it just It gives me that vibe, that is for sure. And then, of course, it's perfect to run this sucker with. So we got something to use this on. Amazeballs, right? Because it's a nice little steam loco. So we'll run up here to the first gantry. So modern day, I think this was taken down or removed. It's got the tricolor signal lights or color position lights. I always forget the names of these. I get them mixed up because there's two that are kind of similar. And then the signal gantry, of course. And they look really good. They fit here perfectly. They most definitely would have been here. This little creek right here is probably the only kind of body of water you're going to see on this entire map. This is Mini Creek, which is just basically a creek. So you got your rail bridge here. You got all the appropriate yard signs and whatnot and your speeds. And what was interesting about Auto, which is the area that we're in, is it was kind of... it's kind of a rail yard for this line, the Chicago subdivision. So at a time, a certain point in time, it was actually called the South Kankakee Yard, which Kankakee is a city, which is a pretty good sized city too. It's just up that way some, kind of between here and Chicago. But you know, this was considered a yard down here because of the Y and whatnot. But I do like the conduit carrying all the electrical signals and whatnot, and vacuum tube and whatever the hell they use to do the centralized traffic control, which are these boxes here as well, which are obviously automated. And as far as I can tell, I've tried placing trains all over this route for the last several months since I've been kind of playing around with the Alpha. He might still consider it an Alpha. But it seems to work. You know, whenever you place a train somewhere, you got one going one way, you got one sitting at a track somewhere else, you can go around it just fine. It seems to work very, very well for the most part. Got a little depot here. It's pretty much nothing here nowadays. Got a coon, a trash panda, trying to get him some goodies. Yeah, that sounded like a dolphin, not a raccoon. And then we have our centralized traffic control interlocking tower, which this dude right here is kind of contemplating life and wondering if he should just go home and crack open some schnapps. But again, very, very nicely placed. Just weeds growing everywhere, little bits of trash, all that stuff. The cars, of course, look perfect for the era. And this tower is still here, if I'm not mistaken. The auto tower is still here to this day. And then here we have the beginning of the Y, which goes over to Bloomington, which was another fairly busy Y. I just have some empty coal guns sitting over here, just for shizzies and gizzies. And this kind of follows Mini Creek up here, and you can hear the crickets and the froges down in there doing their thing. It's, you know, there's sounds everywhere too, so that's a big part of route building, I feel like, is, you know, ambience. You know, it's got to feel like where you're at, you know what I mean? You can't just have it completely quiet. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't really feel right, you know? So that goes all the way down that way to Bloomington, which did, you know, it does not go all the way that way, obviously. Got some more CPS lights. Head over back down south. Got another little train sitting here like he's building a train or something. I don't know. I just put some stuff up. Got some stuff around. So this currently does not have any scenarios, I don't think. I don't think it's quick drive compatible yet, although I believe he's aiming for it. But you can easily just hop in the editor and place trains down, and Bob's your uncle, you know. Easy peasy. Of course, you've got some cattle loading going on here, so you got some livestock pens where they would have, you know, thrown them in the livestock trailers here, the livestock vans. So I got a couple of those sitting there. It's got a couple of old 40s looking trailers sitting there. They could have loaded some trailers up here as well. So like you would have a flat car here, which is perfect because the Illinois Central Mikado, which, you know, Machine Rail built for the guy that built this route, has trailer vans, you know, flat cars for trailers. So it's perfect. I love the placement of more disused rail, of course, more rusted, less ran, of course. The more shiny, the more ran typically. You've got some ties, old, you know, just old ties have been ripped up and replaced, laying all along the right-of-way there. Just very, very good looking. You've got all kinds of different signals as well guarding the main line. Got all kinds of little electrical boxes to go along with the automated stuff that handles all this equipment, which is very nice. You got some stuff going on here. So little scenes like this. I love little scenes like this as well. Can't get enough of this stuff. So they're just doing some road works, you know. Maybe they're paving a new section of the highway. You know, I don't know, but there's something going on here. You got the barriers in the middle, a bunch of piles of concrete or gravel, and more farmland as far as the eye can see. You got a little stretch of houses over here on this road, which goes all the way down yonder, which is where we were. And just even look at this, man. How cozy. The cars, fire hydrants. House is all placed nice. It's very Truman showy. I like it. Got the nice big backyards for the doggos to run around. I'll go back over here. So this is the yard. This is kind of like the biggest yard on the route thus far anyway. So I've just got a bunch of random stuff sitting here. Remember, only 2 of the tracks are main lines, so you've essentially got 3, you know, passing tracks or yard tracks, if you will. Down here we have another crossing, which do work, of course, are belled and guarded. Got a little farm over here with a windmill going and a guy saying, "That's a good boy. Would you like some peanut butter?" He said yes, he would like some peanut butter. Over here we got a auto salvage yard or junk yard, which is still here to this very, very day, which is kind of cool. So if you looked on Google Maps right now, this would be right darn here. And it's big. Very Chungus auto salvage yard. He even went as far as having a little crane and a little car hanging right there, which is kind of cool. I like that. Neat. Little details, man. Little details. Very cool. We'll keep on trucking southbound. Another gantry. Got a dude out here, either spraying the field or whatnot. Now, one little nitpick I may have about this whole thing is this tractor. This definitely wouldn't have been a tractor used in the 40s. But what's neat is we've got those tractors that were part of the Illinois Central Mikado rolling stock pack, which would have been perfect for this era. So if we could somehow get those off the trailer, just use the asset itself, kind of like Machine Rail did with those car carriers and all the automobiles, that would be pretty badass, because then you could swap them out. But it's only one tractor. It's not the end of the world. Keep on zooming down. You got whistle boards where necessary. And the little farm down here. Another windmill and a grain silo. Keep on going. Got another little home over here. Little homestead. Another farm. Keep on going. Like so. I get like trains with a Z or Tane vibes. The other more inferior train sim games, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry if you disagree. But there are some really nice routes in Tane or trains, like really good looking stuff. Now, it's all just for show. You can't really run anything. I mean, you can. It's just boring. It's basically like a model railroad. Anyway, about that. Reason I bring it up is there's some really damn good looking routes that have been made for that game. And this gives me those vibes big time. Like no corners will cut. It's insane just how detailed and lush everything is. I can't choking on my words. I don't know what to say. It's just you don't see this. So it's like when a person in the Amazon sees a friggin' airplane flying overhead for the first time. You're just like, huh? It's kind of like that. Anyway, we'll continue. Little scenes like this as well. You got some guys working on this gantry. The signal gantry's got some signals laying in the back. Some signal masts. They're loading them up, switching them out. Got the dude in the back of the truck hollering at the guy on the top. That's cool as hell. Little scenes like that, man. Little scenes. Got a lot more ponies over there and another little farm. And we'll scooch on down to the first town. There's plenty of stuff going on. Just little scenes everywhere you look, left and right. Another gantry. Now, I believe this is Clifton. So this is like this is Chebanse. Chebanse. Yeah, it's not Clifton yet. Good looking little town, though. The white picket fences, the little Midwestern-y looking houses. So these houses look Midwest to me. Like whenever I see something on TV or see pictures and whatnot, these have that Midwest vibe to them. He's got traffic lights, power poles, telephone poles, little added lamps like that as well. Just all kinds of little innate things that you may not recognize to the naked eye upon first glance. You just got to really, really get down and look with the tweezers and the magnifying glass. Got the old downtown right here. Look how clean this is placed. Very nice. There's still the gap. There's only so much you can do with Train Sim Classic, but that's pretty darn clean. I've seen stuff that's like a foot high that just looks insane. So that level crossing looks very, very nice. Got the old downtown over here. Cruise on down Main Street. I mean, look at that, man. That's picture perfect right there. That's cool as hell. Warehouse, bakery, hotel, old saloon, sporting goods, furniture, Stalin's brick house. Or wait, Stan's brick house, not Stalin. I knew it wasn't Stalin. Brewery. More neighborhoods. Even freaking fire hydrants, guys. Again, fire hydrants. The little details. This is called passion. This is a passion project, obviously, from this guy. We'll keep on chugging. So you've got a couple little things you can do. I think I went by this little scrap gun I had set out there. Just a little spur, like a house track or something like that, if you will. And here is the first kind of grain silo tower. So sadly, we don't really have anything grain-wise. So I went for some of these old air slides. Gosh, I think these are from the Boston and Albany route. They might be part of that. So I try to think, hey, this might have been the most appropriate for grain, these old air slides. Sadly, there's only got Pennsylvania, New York Central, which probably wouldn't have been over here very much. I'm sure there's reskins out here. It's train sim. You just got to do a little digging, like a booger that's way in the back of your nose. You even see a little grain spillage on the ground. You got the swing out pipe right there. He's added lights to the side of this. Those definitely did not have lights by default. Another little whistle stop or station there. I believe some of these had IC stations. Pretty sure Clifton or Ashkum did. I don't know about Chebanse. Well, they did. I just don't think it's here anymore. They might have leveled it, gotten rid of it. But anyway, yeah, some more little downtown. Got another little roadworks going on here. Look at that. Look at that, man. That's cool. That's cool. Dude's working. Get down here. Pretty good sized crossing. Got another pass track, house track. So we got the grain cutters over there. We got some nice lumber needing to go out over here. So I put a couple of stake cars there. Another livestock pen over here. A couple of livestock vans, of course. A couple of them got the doors open, ready to go. Turn them suckers into juicy steaks. We've got another grain silo over here, again, with spillage on the ground. Boxes, just all kinds of stuff. Got one of those old filling stations. How cool is that, man? How cool is that? That's what gas stations look like. Lead. 100% lead. Good for your engine and the environment. Keep on going this way. Here's one of the flat car things I was talking about. So a little ramp. Could bring, you know, whatever. Tractor trailer, put it up on the ramp for the flat cars. These flat cars came with the Illinois Central Mikado pack. And that's one that's got the dry van on there by default. And an empty one like that. That one's got to get put up here or something. So that's cool. Little details like that. We got this horse, another guy feeding his horse peanut butter to make him talk. Like Mr. Ed. Another signal gantry. It's just lots and lots of farmland. So the next town is Clifton. Let's get down there. So there is one little section here on the way to Clifton. Just wanted to kind of stop, take a peek. That's still kind of forested. Hadn't been really cleared out yet, which is nice. So it's a nice transition from the just wide open grain producing farms to a forest. We're getting ever closer to the next town, which is Clifton, but I just wanted to take a moment at this sheep farm over here where you just have like a little pond in the middle, just a little kind of depression into the ground that fills with water. And you got a couple of little furry friends over here copping a drink, which is cool. Just little details like that, man. Got little cattails growing out of there. That looks hella good. That is how you do water features in Train Sim Classic. That looks amazing. It looks legit. Like there's no just bare, you know, ground texture into water texture done. It's so much more than that. It looks so much more realistic. So that is really incredible. Very, very big sheep farm. Let's keep on scooching though. It's just farms everywhere, man. This is the heartland, essentially. The Midwest. Now the gantry, color positions. Getting down into Clifton, just passed by another little bungalow for the CTC. Another little town. This one seems to have a little bit more trees in it, so it's kind of tree lined. You got some nice thick shrubberies and foliage all back in this neighborhood as well. I mean, you can go back into any one of these streets and it's pretty much going to be detailed the same. So the other neat thing about this is like, so back in the day, the houses faced the street, you know, the front, and it was just open. Nowadays, most houses in America have a driveway, and then part of the front of the house is the garage. It was just unbecoming, you know. You played, you lounged in the front yard, whatever, your dog ran around, your kids, what have you. You know, nowadays you got cars parked all in the yard and all that. Back in the day, it's a little bit different. So that's how it looked in the front, and then in the back, you would have a little separate garage, obviously, and it was kind of like what they would call an alley. So like growing up, my grandparents, their house kind of looked like this. And it's the same deal. They had an alley behind their house, and that's where the garage was. That's where they parked the cars, so on and so forth. So just neat little details like that. It really, really fits the period well. Just sucks for these people, though, because they're like, man, our front yard looks at these people's garages. But them be the breaks. Go down here. Got another little grain tower. A couple old air slides. Here's their downtown in Clifton. Big water tower sitting back there, complete with street lights. Just epic. Just epic. Got a little church house over here. A little cemetery. Just look at the details, man. The headstones. Just look at the details. A couple of cars sit here. It's kind of another little passing siding or house track. Got another little depot here. A little freight house. Some more beeves ready to go. And then here's the coal train that I had set up. So this pretty much ends the visual, the fully visual aspects of the line. The whole line can pretty much be ran as is. You're just not going to have obviously the rural scenery. I mean, it's taken this guy quite a while. This is all hand manicured. This is like a bonsai tree, basically. This is like the equivalent of a Train Sim North American route and a bonsai tree right here. So he's got to go in and just, you know, do all this by hand. So this is what it looks like pretty much as it stands right now where the scenery ends. The line pretty much goes all the way. That's not it for the towns, though, so we'll go ahead and scoot down to the next town. So this is the next town, I believe, Ashkum, which has got another grain tower, grain elevator. And it's just, you know, completely filled out, again, with scenery in the town itself. It just looks ultra cozy. I want to live here, man. Looks awesome. The little main street, old downtown Main Street. And then you turn around and it's that. So, of course, it's not complete. So I think he kind of went through and did the towns, and then he'd kind of flesh out the scenery itself, the rural scenery, so on and so forth. So, like right now we are, let's see. Yeah, so I believe this is it right here, Ashkum. And then we'll just go down and take a peek at that big old kind of interchange or diamond, if you will, and just see what that's going to look like. So as you would imagine, pretty good sized yards and facilities down here. So these are the drive-through colon towers as well, which were not, I think he kind of mashed a couple of assets together, which is always pretty neat. Yeah, it's a separate asset there, the kind of bridge. That's cool. That's cool. That looks very cool. Pass through, you got your water over here. Couple of sidings, a little minor yard sitting down here. This is a fairly large, you know, diamond or crossing of a couple of very large railroads. You can see that goes off to the west there. And then here's the tower. That goes off to the east. And there's the triple diamonds. Oh, yes, that looks very nice. Very nice. Why are diamonds so interesting? I don't know. Maybe it's the sound. And then that continues on down all the way to the end of the line in New Orleans. So that's it, guys. That's it for now, anyway. The Iroquois Prairielands. When this thing gets fully fleshed out, we will definitely be taking a dive back in and taking a look at what this is all going to look like down here, because this will be super heckin' busy. But we'll go ahead and go over and take a peek where you can go ahead and pick this thing up, and the IC282 Mikado that you will definitely want to run on this line, and something else he's made for people to enjoy. All right, guys, this is where you can find it. Illinois Central, Iroquois Prairielands. Yeah, it's a tongue twister, ain't it? Again, by Drangus, the person that made this mod. Tells you all about it, tells you what you need to get it to run correctly. Most of the stuff, of course, you will need. A lot of people have most of it. Some of these are kind of new, so it's understandable if not everybody has this. Some of it's freeware. Some of it you should already have if you have Train Some Classic anyway. Fairly easy to install. And then something else he made for the route, we'll go ahead and click on that, is the GP9, which you can get, which looks fairly decent. You know, it would have been what the Illinois Central would have had in their early diesel department, so it'd be nice to kind of mix it up a little bit, have some very early diesel, like they were leasing them out, trying them out while they were still, of course, using steam as well, and it's kind of sunsetting era of steam. So you've got that as well if you want to use that, a GP9 to use on the route. Plus, there's a ton of other, Illinois Central stuff out there, of course. But that's pretty much everything you'll need. And then, of course, let's go back and look at the Mikado, the Mike. Where's it at? Where's it at? It's got a link. Where's it at? Where's that link? Bam. Proceed. Yes. Get me out of here. So this is the Illinois Central Mike. This is one of the coolest damn packs that Machine Rail have created. And of course, it was commissioned by the guy that made this fruit. So it's the Illinois Central Lima Mikado. Yes, I know people are going to be like, it's Lima, you idiot. Lima. Mikado and Freight Fleet. So you get the locomotives in 2 variations. You also get rolling stock, which looks very badass. It's a nice little pack. Of course, you don't need this to use the route, but I would highly recommend it. And if you haven't seen this thing, I did make a video on it quite a while back, so if you'd like to know a little bit more about it, I should have a link pop up in the top right-hand corner where you can go and look at that. But for now, that is it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Very nice looking route from Drangus, the Iroquois Prairielands. Can't wait to see what this thing looks like when it's fully fleshed out. But that's it for now. See you next time, guys. Take care. Bye.